With more ancient fortresses per square mile than anywhere else in Europe, Wales is Britain's undisputed king of castles. Most of the structures date back to the reign of King Edward I, who built the castles to help him hold on to his newly acquired lands. Known today as Edwardian castles, the fortresses marked a new era in castle construction. Instead of the classic motte-and-bailey design with its central keep and outer stockade, Edwardian castles feature rings of walls and multiple towers that make them look as if they were lifted out of a fairy tale. That storybook quality makes castles in Wales particularly attractive as family vacation destinations, but people of all ages are sure to find them enchanting. 18. Dinefwr Castle. Overlooking the rolling River Powis, the Dinefwr Castle is embellished in equally old nature. Old-growth forests wrap around the castle grounds, having been eloquently laid out in the 18th century. The story of the castle returns us to the 1100s. The nearby forts hint at a domineering Roman presence. While on the estate, a 17th-century manor house tells of the power of Dinefwr Castle held within Wales until recent times. Such is the beauty of Dinefwr, it's said if you were to squeeze the soil tight, out would flow the essence of Wales. 17. Larne Castle. Inspiring poets and travellers alike, it's easy to fall in love with the resplendent beauty of Larne Castle. The lush surrounding green, ancient bridge across the trickling stream all mark a heralded foreground. Successive battles between the Normans and the Welsh left this 13th-century castle in near ruin. It was then transformed into a Renaissance mansion befitting of Sir John Perrot. After his execution for high treason, Perrot's castle returned to a ruinous state. Albeit, slightly. But today you can see the remnants of the Grand Hall and the resounding towers. 16. Beaumaris Castle. Surrounded by lush countryside and distant peaks, Beaumaris Castle is enveloped in charming scenery. The castle itself is remarkably well maintained, with its origins tracing to the middle of the 15th century. On the edge of Snowdonia, with so much encompassing beauty, you may be thinking, I wish we could stay here. Well, the good news is you can. Separating it from other ancient castles, Beaumaris Castle has been transformed into an elegant hotel, providing you with unique access to the Middle Ages but also the world around it. 15. Carew Castle. On the Pembrokeshire coast, Carew Castle's rich past spans over 2,000 years. The first half tells the tales of knights, battles, and struggles. The second half features what we now see of the castle, from the late 1200s. After the Norman conquest of England, Carew Castle became the centre of their rule in the region. As you explore, you can learn about these stories, that of kingmakers and, later, Civil War devastation. Beyond the past is the castle's present beauty. Set on the sprawling millpond, the views are gorgeous. So too the Elizabethan mansion, and the 11th century tidal mill and ancient Celtic cross. 14. Margam Castle. Unlike many of the ancient castles in Wales, Margam Castle is a relatively modern addition. Built in 1835, this Tudor Gothic home represents the wishes of Christopher Mansell. He wished to mark the history of Margam with a grand residence of its own. The fantasy castle home features a bombardment of turrets, battlements, cupolas, towers and gables. The architect, who was asked to let his imagination run wild, certainly did his job. After being used by troops in World War II, it now lies in the hands of the public who can explore the castle and surrounding grounds. Beware, however, the castle may be haunted. 13. Dolbadarn Castle. Set in beautiful lonesomeness on the banks of Clyn Padarn, Dolbadarn Castle was a vital part of the defence of the ancient kingdom of Gwynedd. The castle dates back to the late 12th century, and was strategically placed to protect a route along the Llanberis Pass. Today, this location marks the edge of Snowdonia National Park and offers visitors astounding views of the surrounding landscapes. Time has played its artistic hand on the castle, with its remains showing only the base and walls of Dolbadarn Castle. Rather poignantly, however, is the striking tower that stands over the castle grounds as it has for centuries. 12. Chepstow Castle. It's been almost 1,000 years since the last stone bricks were laid upon the Chepstow Castle. The 11th century stronghold lies in marvellous ruin today but remains one of the oldest stone castles in the entire UK. Highlights from the ageless castle don't end there. In fact, after admiring Chepstow from the surging River Wye, you'll soon be standing in front of an ancient wooden door. At 800 years young, it's the oldest of its kind in Wales. Exploring the castle is akin to learning the history of stone. Such is the age of the castle, you can visually see how it evolved to handle improving armies and their weapons. 11. Powis Castle. As renowned for its gardens as the castle itself, Powis Castle presents visitors with a multitude of opportunities. The castle story begins in the early years of the 13th century as a medieval fortress. The warm colours of Powis Castle's facade boast an elegant design that doesn't hide the structure's imposing presence. Passed through the hands of lords and rulers in the centuries since, the interior is adorned with lavish accents, decor and period furniture. Its gorgeous French and Italian styles surrounding gardens have developed a world-class reputation and make exploring the surrounding grounds as memorable as the interior. 10. Criccieth Castle. Resting atop a headland jutting out into Tremadog Bay, Criccieth Castle demonstrates the influence that King Edward I had on Welsh fortress construction. Built by Llewellyn the Great in the late 13th century, the design included many features of Edwardian castles, including an outer wall, outward-facing arrow slits and murder holes in passageways. The castle changed hands between the Welsh and English until the 15th century when it was burned during the last Great Welsh Rebellion. Visitors to Criccieth can wander through the ruins and explore exhibits about the history of Welsh castles. 9. Carreg Cennen. Perched on a rocky limestone hill in the town of Llandelo in Carmarthenshire, Wales, Carreg Cennen Castle is prized for the views it offers as much as for its ancient history. The 12th century Welsh structure was built by Rhys of Deheubarth and was rebuilt in the 13th century by John Gifford on behalf of Edward I. Although much of the castle was destroyed during the Wars of Roses, the ruins are well worth a visit. Visitors who climb their way to the hill's summit are rewarded with breathtaking views. 8. Cardiff Castle. Built on the banks of the Taff River, Cardiff Castle has a history that dates back to Britain's Roman occupation. Over the centuries, it has been transformed into a Norman keep, a medieval fortress and a Gothic residence. In the 1800s, the 3rd Marquess of Bute turned the structure into a fairy-tale-like castle in the Gothic revival style. Today, the castle is operated by the city of Cardiff as a tourist attraction. Visitors can tour the castle's sumptuous apartments, explore the Firing Line Regimental Museum and roam the beautifully landscaped parks around the castle grounds. 7. Raglan Castle. Raglan Castle in the county of Gwent was one of the last medieval castles in Wales, and the structure demonstrates how Britain's fortresses eventually gave way to palaces. Although it was designed for defence when construction began in 1435, attention was also paid to human comfort with an array of luxurious apartments built around a scenic courtyard. A climb to the top of the Great Tower offers views of the moat below and the surrounding countryside. Visitors can explore the cellars, which were built to hold hundreds of casks of wine, and can view medieval wood carvings still visible on the castle's long gallery. 6. Pembroke Castle. Located in the county of Pembrokeshire in southeast Wales, Pembroke Castle is the largest privately owned castle in Wales. It's also one of the oldest and best preserved. Construction dates back to 1093 when the Earl of Shrewsbury took control of the town from the Welsh. Famed as the place where Henry VII was born, Pembroke began to fall into decay in the 17th century but was fully restored during the early 1900s. Open to the public, the castle features staged tableaus that depict events in the castle's history, battle reenactments and falconry displays. 5. Caerphilly Castle. Situated on an island on a massive estate in the county of Gwent, Caerphilly Castle is considered the first true concentric castle built in Wales. The inner ward with its rounded corner towers is surrounded by an outer wall with an attached guardhouse. Construction of the fortress began in 1268 by Earl Gilbert de Clare, who built the castle on the site of an ancient Roman fort. Although stone from the castle was later taken to build homes in the region, Caerphilly was restored by a coal baron during the Victorian era. 4. Beaumaris Castle. King Edward I and his favoured architect James of St. George had perfected the art of castle building by the time they began construction of Beaumaris Castle in 1295. Located on the Isle Anglesey in the county of Gwynedd, the beautifully designed concentric castle features a moat connected to the sea, round towers on every corner and staggered entrances and portcullises between the inner ward and outer wall. Although the inner apartments of the castle were never constructed, the castle remains an imposing sight. Visitors are free to explore the grounds and wander through passages in the walls. 3. Conwy Castle. Located in the picturesque town on Conwy on the north coast of Wales, Conwy Castle was built by King Edward I between 1283 and 1289. The castle is considered one of the finest works by architect James of St. George. Built to take advantage of its location on a rocky hill on the banks of the Conwy estuary, the well-preserved castle features 2 fortified gateways, 8 gigantic towers and massive Great Hall. Knowledgeable guides offer 1-hour tours that take visitors from the castle's royal chambers and chapel up to the top of the battlements. 2. Harlech Castle. Built on the summit of a 60-metre (200-foot) high hill overlooking Cardiff Bay and the Clyn Peninsula, Harlech Castle may be marked by centuries of battle and decay, but it's still one of the most popular castles in Wales. Built for Edward I in 1283, architect James of St. George took advantage of the site's sheer cliffs on the northern and western boundaries to strengthen the castle's fortifications. The castle was attacked almost as soon as it was completed and served as a fortress well into the 1600s. Today, visitors can roam the castle ruins and enjoy one of the finest views on the Cambrian coast. 1. Caernarfon Castle. Located on the mouth of the River Cyont in the town of Caernarfon, Caernarfon Castle is a beautiful example of the Edwardian style of castle. Designed by the era's premier architect James of St. George, construction of the castle began in 1283 with the building of a huge outer wall that encircled the entire settlement, much of which still stands today. A series of towers and gates built along the castle's inner wall offered added protection. King Edward's son was born in Caernarfon and was dubbed the Prince of Wales, a title that the heir to the throne has been awarded ever since.